So, a while ago, there was a trend. It was a good long while ago. There was a trend about childhood trauma, and I wasn't a YouTuber back then, so I'm doing it now. Although I don't really have any like definitive pictures of childhood trauma other than maybe something like just the creepiness of Thomas the Tank Engine when I was a kid, because for some reason that always freaked me out. Ren and Stimpy was always like a go-to thing with me whenever I thought of really weird creepy cartoons, because it just irks me. But I had nightmares when I was a kid a lot. I wanted to talk about it for a minute, and it was something that I never really figured out why. I still have nightmares to this day. I have a nightmare at least once every night, maybe once every 2 nights. I'm constantly like having nightmares, and I've dealt with it now. And recently I've had nightmares that are a bit more on the emotional side, because as many of you might know, I am single. Do with that information what you will, but I do have nightmares about people in my life that I am attracted to that aren't like wet dreams. That's not what the fuck I'm talking about. Here, I'll just give you an example. Last night I had a fucking nightmare. Obviously I had a nightmare. I was with this girl and we were in this really big like apartment complex, and for some reason there was like nobody the fuck else around other than me and her. And like I remember we were hanging out and we walked down, and I mean these, like, it wasn't like a normal apartment complex. It was this big apartment complex that had these like grandiose type stairs, like the stairs you would see at like a fucking cathedral, and like everything kind of intertwined and kind of connected. So I would like jump like from stair set to stair set, kind of like a parkour thing. But we went down to this like baseball field, and I remember there was another guy that was in the apartment complex. Also, I say that there weren't other people there, but like there were like people, but like when you're watching a video of like somebody who's making a game and they haven't really put the textures on all the other NPCs yet, that's what it felt like. They were just gray like blobs in the shape of people that were just kind of like wandering and just doing shit, like sitting down and being like, oh haha, ah, ha, 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 drinking their tea or fucking coffee or some shit like that. Just background characters in my fucking dream. And so anyway, there was this other guy. He had like a beard, but it was like a scruffy beard almost, and his hair was a little bit longer than mine. I remember being like almost jealous of this other guy for some fucking reason, even though I had no fucking reason to be. But fucking weird dreams. And I remember saying that like I just had a bad feeling about that guy, and for some reason the baseball field was what was like giving me that like memory that I don't fucking have. And yeah, I that's pretty much it. I woke up like 5 minutes later. I never got to clap cheeks, unfortunately. Like, I fucking had nightmares, and that's the kind of nightmare that I have now. I have emotional nightmares now, which I don't like. I would much rather be terrified and think I'm gonna, like, fucking get killed or some shit like that, and then wake up and be like, oh my god, oh, thank god, it was just a dream. And not something like, damn, I'm fucking alone, and I just want to have somebody to hold at night. You know what I'm saying? One of the nightmares that I remember the most was, this is gonna sound so stupid. Bear in mind, I was 8. It was my dad, my stepmom at the time, and me, or an I, or whatever. No, me. Fuck, whatever. Like at the time, it was me, my stepmom, and my dad, and we were living in this house, obviously. And I remember I had this fucking nightmare where I was walking through the woods. It was dark, obviously. Like, it was dark, and there were trees everywhere, and there was this one tree that was like kind of looming over, and I remember just being fucking scared. And I'm like 8 years old at this point. Actually, fuck it, I wasn't even 8. That's wild. I had to have been like 6 or 7, and I had soup with me because it was cold, and I had soup with me while I was like walking through the fucking forest, and this big ass tree tried to take my soup from me. And I remember waking up and I was fucking crying, and I went in, like, I didn't really want to like wake up my dad when he was asleep because I always felt bad about that kind of stuff, but I got over it, and I went in there and I was like, I had a nightmare, and they were like, don't worry, it's not real. And I was like, no, I had a nightmare, I'm fucking scared, I don't want to go back to sleep. And they were like, Aaron, please just go back to sleep, it's just a nightmare, you're gonna be okay, it won't happen again. Joke's on me, I had the exact same nightmare like a second time when I went back to sleep. Wild. Like, I went to sleep and had the exact same fucking nightmare again. this tree was trying to steal my soup, and I'm pretty sure it was also trying to eat me or some shit like that. But that was like terrifying. And when I woke up again like 30 minutes later, I was like, I had the same nightmare, and they were like, okay. And then I got to fucking sleep with them, you know, cool. But it's just something that I was thinking about, just with different nightmares and stuff and different childhood traumas that I never got to really explain. I remember Little Bunny Foo-Foo. God, oh man, hold on, I gotta look this up. I have not even like heard of Little Bunny Foo-Foo. Oh dude, a song by the Wiggles. Yeah, I remember this used to, for some reason, this used to terrify me when I was a kid, and I have no idea why. I'm gonna show the picture that I'm looking at now. For some reason, this shit used to terrify me when I was a kid. That's wild that I get to see this stuff again. Hold on, can I just type in, yes, scary, because there's no shot that, okay, these are definitely not the images that I saw. Maybe it was, oh no, it wasn't this. It couldn't have been that. Little Bunny Foo-Foo. I don't know, there was something about it that just absolutely terrified me about fucking Little Bunny Foo-Foo. And I remember being like just terrified of this fucking rabbit, or I'm sorry, bunny, or little, wait, was it Little Bunny Foo-Foo or was it Little Rabbit Foo-Foo? Because this one says Little Rabbit, but everything else says Little Bunny. It had to have been Little Bunny. Also, I don't know if this, technically I guess this would be considered child trauma. I don't know where I got this from, but this is another fucking nightmare that I had when I was a kid. I remember like I would be laying in my bed and I'd go to sleep and everything, and then I would wake up, like in my dream I would wake up and I looked out my window and all I saw was just these like bright red eyes that were like a good, you know, like 6 feet away, that were just staring at me. And I remember, like, you know, obviously being fucking scared and just not really knowing what to do. So, editor me here. I'm actually in the process of editing this video, about 6 minutes in, or 7 minutes. I did want to say another thing that was part of my childhood trauma, and I don't really consider it like a childhood trauma. It's just something that I can never properly put into words, but I'm gonna try. I remember I was a very small child. I was at my grandmother's house. The way that her house is laid out is that there's like the living room, and then a hallway with the kitchen, and then there's another little hallway down here with like the bathroom, another room, and then a room right here. I was in this room with this fucking long ass hallway that went to the dark kitchen, with this big gap in the wall that went into the living room. So just so you know, I had to go to the bathroom. I was there alone. Well, not like alone. She was asleep in her room, which also, by the way, the kitchen, and then there's like a fucking bedroom. She was all the way up here. And then there's fucking kitchen, long ass hallway, and then like my room, like, which is like fucking wild. Anyways, so I was there, and I remember I was in this room, and it had like a bunch of like other shit in it that was like all piled up. And I had one of those really tiny, I mean like tiny, like boob tube TVs that was in the way fucking top corner away from me. And it was playing some kind of like old cartoon, like some kind of like Looney Tunes or something like that. But it was bright enough for me to just barely be able to see the room. Like the only thing that's ever been able to properly convey what that feeling was, if any of you have ever seen the movie Skinamarink, yeah, that whole movie is kind of filled with whatever kind of fear I had. And I just remember that something was wrong, and I just didn't know how to put my finger on it. Yeah, if anybody else has any kind of childhood trauma like this, like any weird childhood fears or something like that, let me know in the comments. But anyways, I'm gonna get the fuck off of here and go record some other videos. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. You can hit that subscribe button too. That would be amazing. Hit the bell notification if you like to. I have a Patreon. It's only $1, but if you can't afford that dollar, it's okay. But if you do want to support the channel, you do get an extra video every month. And that's about it. I know this video might have been kind of boring to some people, but I never got to throw my hat in the ring. And I never had a lot of like quote unquote childhood trauma. I just had shit that really creeped me out that probably shouldn't have. So, you know, so I hope you did enjoy the video, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.